Lady Montano, mother of Machel, a prodigy son, a visionary mother, mother courage, mother conviction and confidence. Her prince of a son had a song to sing, and never too young was he to SOCA. He would be king. It is all now history, and who better to tell the story than the mother of this royal family, Lady Montano, author of a remarkable personal memoir, most perfectly titled, King of SOCA. Long live the king and the queen mother. The whole kingdom today thanks you, my lady. We celebrate you, our beloved Lady Montano.
Ladies and gentlemen, the voice you've just heard is that of Mr. Peter Machel. And to all the followers of the art form in the Caribbean and around the world, you will know exactly who this gentleman was. The program this evening is going to be slightly different than what I'm sure most of you are accustomed to, but it's going to be indeed very special. And we like to invoke the Lord's presence. And doing so, we call on Mr. Winston Montano, father of Machel Montano and wife of Elizabeth.
Dear God, we thank you for strength and all your goodness. We ask you to help us, give us the strength and courage to overcome problems, help us to concentrate, help us to cooperate, help us to love one another, help us to deliver. All this we ask in your name. Amen.
Thank you very much, Winston. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Lady Montano, on behalf of the government of Grenada through the Department of Culture, on behalf of the University of the West Indies, and all the other major players who have made this a reality. And I'm sure during the course of the evening, you will understand how this journey, it's a very important journey, and it's a story I'm sure that you'll be so interested in, wholly thrilled to understand how this whole thing evolved, as I like to say, from the streets of Siparia in Trinidad to all the major cultural centers around the world, including the Barclays Center and Madison Square Garden and all the major playing areas around the world. So on behalf of everyone, I welcome you. I thank you so very much for being a part of this experience here this evening. The king himself, the man, started this journey 40-odd years ago. And what is so important is he's still continuing. And at this time, I would like to invite some comments, pre-recorded by Machel Montano.
Welcome. I'd like to congratulate Lady Montano, aka the ultimate insider, aka the real boss. Congratulations, mother, on this wonderful achievement of writing this book. I'm honored to be the subject of your thesis and now this beautiful piece of work that you're going to share with the world. King of SOCA is a book that tells a lot of stories about my life, about the life of the Montanos as a family coming up as a music entity, the bands, the soca years, the calypso years even, and much more. I think this book is a piece of education for young artists and young people interested in the soca music business, in the music business in general, but also for students of culture, students of the history of Trinidad and Tobago. Over the 40 years of my journey, probably now going on 42, I think, many of these stories will attest to a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication, and some of the ins and outs of the music business. I congratulate my mom for putting it together in such a wonderful piece of art, beautiful pictures, great words and great stories, and I'm really honored and happy that she can present it here. I thank you all for supporting, and I hope you enjoy this evening's proceedings, and I hope you get a copy and encourage others to check out The King of SOCA by the ultimate insider, Lady Montano. Thank you.
Machel, thank you very much. As we continue with the program, we'd now like to call on Dr. Nicole Phillip from the University of the West Indies to make some brief remarks. Dr. Phillip, would you please put your hands together for Dr. Phillip?
Honorable Lennox Andrew, Acting Prime Minister, and Senator Adrian Thomas, Permanent Secretaries, members of the government who are here with us, friends, relatives, well-wishers, good evening, everyone. On behalf of the principal of the University of the West Indies Global Campus, Dr. Francis Severin, and on my own behalf, as Director of Global Campus Sites, I want to welcome you to this celebration because it is indeed a celebration. UWI, as our primary Caribbean institution, tertiary institution, we celebrate the written word and the word that is written about our history, our culture, our heritage. We celebrate persons like Lady Montano who speak on behalf of others. And I want to say a very special, very, very special, because she's fellow female author, a very special congratulations to Lady Montano, because the female perspective gives a whole different view of what's happening. And she's coming from the perspective of female, yes, but also from the perspective of mommy. All right? So it's a whole different perspective, and I want to thank her for sharing that with us and to congratulate her for that. And when we write these stories, we really do leave golden nuggets for the next generation that are coming after us. And so what I just want to say is congratulations to her, thank you to everyone for coming, and please enjoy the rest of the celebration.
Dr. Phillip, thank you so very much. At this time, we'd like to invite the Minister of Tourism, Creative Economy and Culture, Persuader Thomas, to make some brief remarks. Senator Thomas.
Thank you very much, Master of Ceremony. Let me recognize the Acting Prime Minister, Honorable Lennox Andrew, Dr. Elizabeth Montano, Lady Montano, and I'm so happy that she's a lady, and I want to join with Dr. Dow, Dr. Nicole Phillip, that's to be happy to have a lady on stage, but I also want to make the point that she has given birth to a very important icon, a human being, a man. Let me also recognize representatives from UE, distinguished guests, PSs, and I must acknowledge the Chief Cultural Officer here, the CEO of the Cultural Foundation, and my good friend, Sister Gloria Payne Banfield. Put your hands together for Sister Payne Banfield. I wrote a speech, but the fact that it was the MC emphasized brief. I don't know how you could give a politician a mic and ask him to be brief. However, I will try to be very brief. On behalf of the Prime Minister and the government and people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique, I would really and truly like to congratulate Lady Montano for doing such a fantastic piece of work. She paid a courtesy call to me today, and we had a very nice chat. We had a long discussion. Really and truly, I felt like I was her son. And being a former Calypsonian myself, who is on leave for a long while, I don't know, I might be inspired to get back into the business again. But being a political commentator, I will have to wait until my government starts to behave bad before I could write a few lines. So I will hold the bricks still. But I really and truly want to congratulate Lady Montano for that masterpiece. And I know really and truly it will be a piece of material that we will use in the future for generations to come. The documents, the written word, it's well documented who the Calypso soca icon is in the Caribbean. And I endorse that Machel Montano is truly an icon of soca in the Caribbean. He has been an inspiration to the young people, not only in Trinidad and Tobago, but in Grenada. And it was revealed today that he has roots in Ladig, St. Andrew, and Lady Montano has indicated to me this morning she will be coming back to Grenada and spend some time in Ladig, and Machel Montano wants to do the same thing. So you will be welcome. I cannot guarantee that I will give you a piece of land, but if you could find your navel string, we will surely give you a portion of land. So on behalf of the government, I want to say congratulations again, and we will continue to support the art form, we'll continue to support Calypso, we will continue to support culture. And we know for a fact the distance it can take our country. You're quite aware the amount of monies that we are spending on the creative economy, and this is one aspect of it we will be focusing on in 2026 and going forward. So once again, congratulations, and I'm happy to see so many people turn out here this evening to support such an important venture. Thank you. I hope I was brief enough.
Senator Thomas, thank you so very much. And I must emphasize the role of the Department of Culture and the Chief Cultural Officer in bringing this whole exercise together. And again, we must express our deepest appreciation and thanks to the Chief Cultural Officer for ensuring that this event rolls out the way it is this afternoon. Again, Mr. Minister, thank you very much. Mr. Chief Cultural Officer, thank you so very much. I'm going to put away my phone with all the notes because I prefer to speak kind of freely and off the cuff. And I know Lady warned me about that. I first met Lady, in 1986. When I knew of Machel before, because before that, he won the Junior Calypso Monarch with the song, The Letter. He came the following year and did Too Young to Soca. And that's where the journey really exploded. I met her the first time they came here as a performing team. It was herself, her husband Monty, and Machel. And from that first arrival at Point Soleil, we clicked on, and that friendship grew for up until this very, very day. I've always been very close with her. We're on the phone backward and forward. If something has to be done, you know, she calls on me. Once it's Grenada, I would always get a phone call. So if the group is coming throughout the years, if the group is coming, I'll get a call from Lady, Troy, who is Tom Harry? Or who is Jack Jones Promotions? And I know the rational whom are these people because a contact was made. And she just wants to ensure that it's legitimate and is worthwhile coming. Because I can tell you, there have been experiences so negative in terms of dealing with promoters and other persons. So I always served as the conduit here in Grenada and continues to do so. As I said, the friendship grew, and Choglas wrote for the students of Calypso in the song, The Spirit Gone. And one of the lines that journalists like to create a bacchanal about soca or Calypso. The point I'm making is that Carnival and the industry, there's always a controversy, always. Every year, every season, there's always something to create a hype and a talk. And Machel went through this from the offset. On winning the Junior Calypso Monarch, he was amazing. A song entitled The Letter, which he articulated to the Minister of Education. And the head of the teachers' union criticized him so heavily and praised, I think it was Penguin song, Soft Man. So I just wonder, you know, where we were, you know, at that point in time. And then there were always Him winning, him coming onto the big stage, coming third among the big guys for the first time as a youth. Then there was always that issue with Machel versus Natasha. There's always a controversy over Machel, always. And I'm sure Liz would speak so much about that. But to speak about Liz before I introduce her, a dear lady. A dear lady. Some persons will know her as Machel's manager or Machel's mother. But she has inspired so many youngsters, so many persons. Is one of the greatest human beings that you will ever meet. She can speak to you about anything at any time. And there's that sharp divide that's always been between that of being the manager of the group, the manager of Machel, and Machel's mother. And a lot of us got to know Lady, the mother, because that's what we were always into. She's an educator. And I'll ask the question later. Studied in Jamaica. She's a counselor. And sometimes you wonder, somebody with such credentials can drop it and support something that you're not too very certain or sure about. But at the end of the day, 40 odd years later, she will have the final laugh, because I'm sure that she can sit back and say, job well done. I say this with no apology. She's one of the greatest human beings. I've been around that industry for many, many years. I've met all the major players, been a part of it for many, many, many years. And she is one of the shining examples that you will ever meet to this very, very moment. I always credit her. I met David Rudder through her. And she introduced me to David in Queen's Hall one night. I don't know if you remember that. She said, come, there's somebody I want you to meet. And from that, there was another lasting friendship. So she has been able to see this whole journey unfold. The good times, the hard times, and trust me, there were some very, very difficult times, I know for a fact. Having to share a single room with all the boys and all the... It was not as what people are seeing right now, but they were focused, persistent, and knew exactly where they wanted to go. And I think finally they're on the route. Because so many people spoke about taking the music to that next level. We know of Arrow. So many persons were identified. Arrow at one point in time. The band Spice, Byron Lee and the Dragonaires. There were also the likes of Alison Hines, and we speak about Bajan Invasion. There are so many persons who are supposed to take this music, this simple Caribbean music, to the next level. And I think as we go through all those years, Machel was the person who took it way beyond the borders of the Caribbean, way beyond the bridges of Brooklyn, where the music was stifled for so very long. He brought it to an international audience. He brought it far and wide, always speaking first and foremost of the Caribbean, the unity, the oneness. And I think that's one of the important things. And she would have instilled, she's always there. Every step of the way, she's always been there. So, educator. She could have taken her lifestyle in so many different directions. But I think she will tell you it had to happen this way. And like I said, you would not want to meet a nicer person. If you get to know the lady, as we call her, you will not want to meet a nicer person, because she's simply a wonderful person. As good as she is a manager, she's 10 times a better mother and a friend and someone who you can lean on at any point in time. So without any further ado, it gives me such great pleasure to introduce to you here this evening the author, the lady behind the entire exercise, and as she said, an intimate insider. An intimate insider. I don't think there would have been anybody closer from ensuring that his bag was packed, his toothbrush was in place, everything throughout the years up until this day. She's always on the ball with her son. She just came back from Miami. She's always there. She said, Troy, I ain't stopping. I'm 75 next month and I'm not stopping at all. We're moving it forward because if you stop, you know what happens? You stay in one position and she's not prepared to do so. So ladies and gentlemen, it's indeed a pleasure for me and it's a pleasure, I think, for Grenada based on her association and her parentage, and also for the Caribbean, for somebody to do such detailed work, archiving and putting together such detail, with such precision and detail for not just her son, because I think he's much more. He is undoubtedly the king of soca. Would you please put your hands together as I invite Mrs.
I want to go to, I prefer to go to. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Are you hearing me? I am Elizabeth Montano, and with all protocols observed, I would like to welcome you here this evening. And before I say anything about the book, I want to do a little reading, and I want you to listen very carefully to see where the King of Soca began his life. What I will read is entitled A Miracle Birth. It was Sunday, November 24th, 1974, at 10:30 in the morning, when Monty, my husband, rushed me to the hospital. I was in severe pain and hemorrhaging with my second pregnancy. But the baby wasn't expected until December 16th. We reached the hospital where the doctor checked for the fetal's heartbeat, but none was to be found. The baby will be stillborn, he informed us. Later that afternoon, I received blood donated by Monty, and immediately I felt a tingling in my passage. I asked the doctor, although the baby is dead, would I still experience this feeling? Yes, he replied. I pleaded with him to cut me to take the baby, but he was adamant that it didn't make sense. Can you imagine how I was feeling? All this while, my doctor sat there whistling, trying to make me feel comfortable. With no contractions and no pain, he urged me, let's go, we have to do this now. He implored me to push, come on Montano, force, and I did. The baby's head came out, and then he continued to insist, Montano, force as though you are constipated. I closed my eyes, and with the greatest series of pushing, the baby eventually came out. But no crying was heard, no movement. After a few moments, the doctor started pumping out mucus, pouring ice water over the baby's heart, administering oxygen, and slapping the infant. The baby made a faint cry. I remember the doctor saying, not good enough, and he repeated the process. After the second set of slaps, the baby cried, and I sighed with relief. The doctor turned to me and whispered, you had a boy, and he will not be sick one day. Before Machel was rushed off to an incubator, he was shown to me. But the action didn't stop there. When my son was brought to me later on, it was not my baby. 2 boys were born at the same time, and their name tags were exchanged. Can you believe it? From that moment, I knew in my heart that Machel was destined for a purpose. Little did I know how great his journey would become. Machel Jesus Montano is definitely a gift. And that's the birth of Machel, November 24th, 1974. And even better than that, he was exchanged, but thank God, he was exchanged with an Indian child. So when they brought the Indian child to me, I said, "You all want my husband to put me out?" And then it happened that the mother of that child was my, classmate in Teachers College and lived in the room next to me. And she came to me and said, "You know, that baby was my baby." I said, "Yes." And they continued, the friendship continued, and this little boy followed us for years outside the parties, telling people, "You know, I was exchanged with Machel Montano." And I remember in 2015, when we launched our first feature film, Bazadi, he came to me and said, "Mrs. Montano, you know, every time Machel singing, I feel it's me." So Machel came into this world with drama, and he continued. So now I'll give you an idea behind the book, King of Soca. I was at university this time at UWE in Trinidad, and I was studying my master's of philosophy in cultural studies. And I chose for my thesis, The Making of Monk Monty. But when I did it, I was not allowed to use pictures, to use colors, or to use newspaper articles. So I had to do it, remember, it's academic. So I had to do it that way. But then I decided if I wanted to share it with the man on the street, with the young artist, I have to tell them the true story. Caribbean people see things in color, you know, and when we come in, we like everything real, and I wanted to give it to them real. So fortunately or unfortunately, I graduated in 2018, but in 2020, we had the pandemic. And I utilized that time to adapt my thesis into this book, King of Soca. And I added that I call myself the ultimate insider. And I think this was, I revealed why Machel Montano became one of the most popular soca artists in the world. And who better to tell it but the insider, the ultimate insider, right? So what I did was, in this book, Machel had 4 decades at the time being an artist. Machel is now 50 years of age, and he started at 7 in 1982. So in my writings, I did the early years, those years when Machel, as Troy said, Machel sang the letter when everybody thought, who is this child? He's so young. Who are his parents? These irresponsible human beings, you know, not knowing that Machel's parents were both teachers at the time, and Machel lived a very strict, structured life. And that he was a top student. And I think this is Machel's secret. Not that he could sing, not that he could perform, but I think his secret is the brain. You know, so those early years, we described him as precocious, but then we went on after that to what we will call the HD years. The HD years, we know it was the time when HD was coming out. That is high definition television and everything. But Machel is always well read, so that he knew it was coming out. And then he said to himself, I am going to be the first human HD individual, where I want to make myself clearer in the messages that I deliver. So therefore, he went on to call himself Machel Montano, HD. And then this lasted until 2014, when Machel, if you know of Machel's journey, you will know Machel is someone who evolves ever so often. And he decided he wanted to share knowledge. And he thought he wanted to share new knowledge. So he went into Monk Monty. And Monk is an acronym for Movement of New Knowledge. And we did this in 2015. Then again, here comes 2019, and he said to me, but no knowledge is new. It exists, but it's when you become aware of that knowledge. So he changed that acronym to be Movement of Now Knowing. And he has been, since then, the monk, and he developed, for those who follow him, a very spiritual life and still evolving. So that now in 2025, at the age of 50, he's now looking at going in another direction. Not too much performing, but taking young people to another level. And in this book, I wrote not only as a manager, but I also wrote as a mother, as a parent. And I try to instill in those that I speak to, what are the things that have made Machel successful? And when people ask me, you must be real proud that your big son is a captain with Caribbean Airlines and your next son is a big entertainer. I tell them that's not what I'm proud of. What I'm proud of is the core values that Monty and I inculcated in our two sons. I see these values manifesting them as men. And that's what I'm proud of. So I want to share this with parents. I want to share it with young people, artists. And I think that I am going into my, 3/4 of a century. November the 4th, I'll be 75. And I think in my 4th quarter, I really, really would like to spread the message. And this is why I took it upon myself to travel the world. This book was written and published in 2022. And I did Trinidad first. And then I did New York, I did New Jersey, I did Miami, and then I did Jamaica. Jamaica, where I went to school to do my first degree. But then I said, looking around and watching several things, young people, where they are going, parents, also, where we are becoming very divisive, becoming very individualistic, and where we're trying to separate that federation that should exist in oneness, Caribbean oneness, one love, unity, peace, collaboration, cooperation. We always feel that we have to compete. Yes, competition is good at certain levels, but I think that we have to look at how we are the same. And we always use this example. Machel will use it in food. When he says some of us have pilau, some of us have cook-up, some of us have rice and peas. But when you look at it, the ingredients are all the same. So that we have to come together as one nation, Caribbean oneness. And I see too much of division being taken, especially in the music. I hear some countries say, no, don't play this music. At this time is our music. Play this one. That's not how it should be. Because you have strength in numbers, and we are already small. And we come from the same place, the original place. So therefore, we have to accept and we have to really work together if we need to be successful as a Caribbean. So I think that it is I'm preparing for transition the next 25 years. But I also believe in preparing for a legacy, and I think that I want to leave with my son and my grandchildren and the Caribbean as a whole. I want to leave something that they can be inspired by, that they can be motivated by, and that they know that it doesn't take much to succeed. It takes passion, it takes sacrifice, hard work, and definitely a work ethic that is not compromised. And I want to say I can boast that Machel has done this for 4.5 decades, and I think that he still has a way to go. So I would like to celebrate with you today. Troy will ask me as many questions, and you can ask me. As I said, I am the ultimate insider. I have spent 4 decades collecting everything. I have an archive that has everything from the diaper, for those of you who remember him, singing with the diaper. I have the original diaper, and I have it in an archive that was inducted by UNESCO, and we own that archive. So I want to encourage all the young people. Some of us don't have contracts. Today I told them some of us go on the stage, 1 foot on the stage and 1 foot on the step with a white flag just waiting to go to the next fete and go to the next fete and then boast, I did 10 fetes tonight. But did it have any effect? But when you look at Machel, he's selective, very selective, because when he goes to his audience, he wants to give his audience their money's worth. And he's not satisfied. Sometimes the police have to be standing up at the stage and taking him off because he feels that his audience is number one. And I think that this is a good time for me to leave you with this. And when we come to the question or the conversation, feel free to ask. It's all in here. I thank you.
Lady, thank you so very much. We will introduce somebody who you're quite familiar with, very, very familiar with. And Lady insisted that I touch base with that person because with the connection with Grenada, they shared so many moments together. Happy am I to present the original hitman, Mr. Elimas Gilbert, the inspector.
2, 3. They say you're too young to SOCA. Oh, yo, they making joke. They say you're playing with fire. Oh, yo, they making joke. They say you're too young to boogie. Oh, yo, they making joke. Mommy Liz, thank you for the journey. I met Machel in 1986 when Williams Monroe brought him to Grenada. We had a big show at the Simmons Pavilion and the next one at the Queen's Park. After that, me and Machel remained friends for years. Very nice guy, but very serious about his work. That is why today he remains the king of SOCA. He will criticize something, he don't mean bad, he mean well because he want to see it done better. Once he said to me, Specky, all you have to have better sound system here. If all you have to input something from Barbados, do it. He also taught me that when you're performing on stage, if your shoes squeeze in, don't stop. Perform for the people. This thing is a business. Here once he also said to me, Specky, we have to do a song together. Caribbean Unity. I said, Machel, I want to do a song with you so bad. If I get to whistle on the song I'm doing it, he laughing and the band. All when they meet me, they used to call me Whistle. I saw Machel perform in Miami. Who remember Gabby's song, Dr. Cassandra? When you coming back, Sandra, when you coming to give me medicine? And he have a part Machel was doing together with the band. Give me the 1 joke and they flying up in the air. Bam, and they joke in. Give me the 2 joke, bam, bam, they joke in. Give me the 3 joke, bam, the crowd row. And Inspector freeze. I never saw that in the history of entertainment before. Not even from one of my king, the mighty Sparrow. Machel is a true king of SOCA. Mommy Liz, thank you for the journey. You was the first person I saw selling CDs and T-shirts and anything that mark aesthetic. While the band on stage, you're in the back of the hall selling it. Then I see a lot of people start doing it after. You treat us as family. Once aesthetic was playing for the artists, you treat all of us as family. We used to pray before we go on stage. Nobody do telling me. I was there and I see it for myself. Thank you very much for giving us the king of soca, and continue doing great works, and all the best in your promotion. Yeah, and tell your son, Inspector still want to whistle.
2 or 3.
Thank you very much. That was the hitman himself, Elamus Gilbert, the inspector. We'd like to say a very special thank you to a few persons who have really stepped forward to assist in making this a reality. We say a very special thank you to Ocado for their contributions. We must say a very special thank you to Mr. Patrick David and Pier 57 for stepping forward in the manner in which they did. And also to Mr. Mark Scott. Thank you very much, sir. Silver Sands, for being a part of this experience. Would you please put your hands together for those persons, please? These things happen so quickly, and sometimes, timing is so crucial. And these persons step forward at the right time to make this a reality. Lady insisted that we find someone, a youngster, who is about to take that same journey, and hope the person could continue along that same path. And in conversation with Mr. Sean Niles, he said, well, I got the right person. I said, who's the person? He says, a junior Calypso monarch for a number of years. He's my son, he's talented, he's that good. He's an excellent cricketer. He, is a well-rounded youngster, the kind of person, kind of son you like to have, to be proud of, and he's so proud of that person. Happy am I to introduce to you now. He will do a few lines of Machel's song and also a few bars and so one of his songs that was very popular. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please put your hands together for the Junior Calypso Monarch of Grenada, and also an outstanding student, I was told. Would you please welcome Mr. Christian Niles, also known as Moti.
Good night, everyone. My name is Christian Niles, also known as Moti. Yeah. I say I changing my style just for a little while, and they laugh in utter amusement. I say I coming out hot to show people what I got, and they start with critical comment. They say I'm a little boy, I'm too young to sing about people spreading joy, fete and party and ting. They say I must concentrate on winning the junior crown, because I've got to wait a lot of years to break down. They say I'm too young to soca. Oh, yo, they making joke. They say I'm playing with fire. Oh, yo, they making joke. They say I'm too young to boogie. Oh, yo, they making joke. They say I'm coming too early. Oh, yo, they making joke. Tell them. Soca, I feel into soca. Soca, I feel into jam, free up myself and flap. I may be small, but I ain't too young at all.
Now do one of his compositions of 2 verses and chorus of his composition that he won the Junior Calypso Monarch with.
I am only 10, still can't find a girlfriend. My biggest competition is some big old hangman. Every day I listen to the news, I just get confused. Each and every test showing #1 in incest. Come on, teacher, priest, doctor, all of them is predator. Stepchild niece, daughter. They have a plan to mash up a generation of women. I can't understand that level of desperation. See, I want a wife and a family when I am fit and ready. So I'm going down on my knees. Save one for me, please. Save one for me. Sing it, sing it, sing it. Save one for Timothy. The rate that you going, I'll end up with nothing. The way you mashing up them young girls' life, I'll have to go to Timbuktu to find a wife. My good friend Brittany, she is a sad story. She does stay back in school alone, like she don't want to go home. It's only now I understand what really going on. Each and every test showing #1 in incest. Farmer, teacher, priest, doctor, all of them is predator. 3 years, 8 years, 12 years, it really doesn't matter. Like they have a plan to mash up a generation of women. I can't understand that level of desperation. See, I want a wife and a family when I am fit and ready. So I'm going down on my knees. Save one for me, please. Sing it. Save one for me. Sing it. The rate that you going, I'll end up with nothing. The way you mashing up them young girls' life, I'll have to go to Timbuktu to find a wife. Thank you.
Would you please put your hands together for Mr. Moti, the Junior Calypso Monarch, and save one for Moti, please. Save one for Moti. It's important that we do. I think this now is one important part of the program, and which we'll invite Lady to read. So we go straight into questions. Kind of make a little change. She will reference the book, but she will prefer right now to have a conversation, which I will start. And most importantly, from the audience, we beg your participation. Any questions or concerns or anything that you want to ask of Liz or Lady, please feel there's a microphone in the center of the hall that you can come forward and ask a question. I will open the floor. Liz, from being a student of the art form for so many years, I want to know whose decision it was when the decision was taken for Machel to not continue his school to college, because we all know he was a very brilliant youngster. I think he got 12 or 14 GC subjects back at the time, and most persons were saying that he was going to be a doctor or whatever the case may be. And then the decision was taken that, look, this is the direction that we're going. We're dropping everything else, and that is going to be his focus. And he would have been a teenager at that point in time. How was it for you, or were you one of the persons who made that decision to support him, or did he make the decision? And what we saw after was the entire family coming on board with this decision at that stage to take that path in something that you're not so certain about, knowing what the industry was then. Whose decision it was? How did it, what was the discussion like?
Well, from the beginning, Machel was always the one who made the decision. From very young, he was like that. So at 5 years of age, he came to us with a cassette that he had taped his brother and himself, the brother playing the guitar, and he was singing. We had this talent competition in Trinidad called Antique. And he was Antique as the host, he was a contestant, and he was the judge, and he was also the engineer. So he was taping. And then he brought it to us, and I listened to it. And I said, Monty, but this child has a good voice. And we sent him to learn to sing. We sent him to a music school. And after that, he led all the way. Machel did common entrance, and he came first in the exam from the school in his class, came first. And he passed for Presentation College, which is the biggest college in South or even in Trinidad. And at the end, after O-levels, he did all his sciences, physics, chemistry, biology, English language, English literature, Spanish, French, and maths. He came through flying colors. And he decided he was going to do A-levels. And he was doing physics, chemistry, and econ, some of that. And within the first year, he came and he said to me and his father, I don't think this is making sense, you know. This thing, I can't go on, I don't want to do this, I want to do music. He wanted to be a lawyer at first, and he said no. So I started to cry because I was a teacher. I believed my child should, you know, and I knew that he was so bright. And then his father and I went and spoke to Brother Machel, who was the principal then. And at the end, Machel said, this is what I want to do. So his father said to him, I hope you know that this doesn't have any pension, and you have to work 24/7 if you're doing something like this. He said, yes, he was prepared to do it. He also told him, well, you know, if you want to do this, you will have to go to school. So tell me, you want to work 24/7, you want no pension, and you're going to study. He said, yes, I really want this. So therefore, as parents again, we searched around and we sent him to a school in Ohio for recording engineering and production. Again, he came out at the top of the class. And I think that this is what made the difference. Because when he could write the songs, he knows how to engineer, and he knows how to produce, so he knows what he wants to hear. And I think that well, he made a right decision, and we supported him in it, and up to today, the same thing happens. He will consult us, but he always makes the decision, and we are there to support him. And that's how it was.
Was it difficult for you, as a mother, as an educator, to put your career on hold to focus in that direction?
Well, I don't think I ever put it on hold, really. I may have retired early. At that time, I was a guidance counselor, and my husband was a geologist. We had left teaching, and he had to work offshore. So then I had to make the move now from promotions into management. And I didn't think twice. So I took early retirement, and I went to support him. Never regretted a day.
Again, the audience, anyone with questions, just please indicate.
Feel free and ask me anything.
There's a microphone right back there.
Good night, lady.
Hi.
Y'all are hearing me?
No.
Go on, let's hear. Make sure.
I
Go
don't
ahead.
know how to. Oh, no, let me know.
Yeah.
Good night, lady. So I've seen the book in Trinidad. So obviously there's a lot of documentation in the book. So many different sources, so many different resources. And my question is, at what point did you realize that it was important to start? Like, were you collecting all these things from the beginning, or at some point something struck you that, no, this is going to be something special and I need to keep this for the future? Did you have a conversation with yourself like that, or was it all the time?
Well, remember I was a teacher.
Yes.
And I believe in knowledge. And when my husband and I went into that field, we didn't know anything about entertainment, but we were teachers and we knew about spreading knowledge. We know the importance of documenting and also preserving heritage. So we read all about Michael Jackson and all these international stars, how they collected memorabilia and everything. And again, the teacher in me, I started from 82 collecting and documenting, cataloging on my own every single thing, with the knowledge that I know someday it will become important. So I did it until I decided I will hire somebody formally to be an archivist and to curate. So now we have a very formal setup where the public could come and research, where Machel and they, any part of the world they are, they could pull up stuff, and it's current. So it is as old as his career. Everything is there, anything you want, and it belongs to us.
That's amazing. Thank you.
You're most welcome.
Anyone else with questions? While we're waiting someone else, we'd like to say a very special thank you again to the University of the West Indies, and again to the Department of Culture for their contributions and their input. There's a gentleman at the microphone.
Good night to everyone.
Good night.
I have 3 questions. I don't know if you would like to take it or just one question, or can I give you 3?
Go ahead.
Any
Okay.
amount.
So how do you balance your role as Machel's mother and manager? And what challenges have you faced in navigating this dual relationship?
That's the first one. That's the first one.
That's
right?
the first one.
Well, people call me, like I said before, a momager, right? But I make it crystal clear, I'm not a momager. I'm a mother and I'm a manager. I mean, I was a manager, right? And it was easy for us to separate it because when I was home, I was the boss. I was the mother. He consulted me as mother every morning up to now. At 51, he'll be 51 in November. He will come first thing in the morning. I have a chair in my room, and I live there with him to still look after him at 51. So he will come every morning to ask my advice as mother and ex-manager. So when it's mother, we keep it mother. And when it's manager, he's my boss. And some people never understood it. Look how Machel talking to his mother. That's them. I know that if somebody's my boss and I don't do something right, then he pull me up, and Machel is a perfectionist. You know, so therefore I am there to support him as the manager. And I always give this joke. He'll say, lady, I want to get the magic box that Michael Jackson used. Bam, I will get it. Lady, I want the costume, the Toro costume, get it. I had to look, I got it in Colombia, but then it went to Venezuela and we were launching the album 1998. Couldn't get it there on time. I found a way, fishing boat from Venezuela, and it reached. Because every time he asks me for something, as a manager, I know he's serious. He's not a frivolous young man. Not now that he's mature, still isn't. And I am still there, separating it. Mother, and now a consultant, like a manager, but I left that to somebody much younger than me now. I was able to take him from Trinidad to the Caribbean and to the diaspora. But you have to say, lady, your time up, you know. And I respected that because I know I couldn't. I wasn't able to take him the step further. And I gave somebody else the opportunity and reaping the benefits. So mother, manager, easy for me, no challenges.
Thank you for that. What are some of the most memorable moments of achievements in Machel's career that stand out to you? And how have you celebrated these achievements?
There are so many. Many, let me see, I'll choose, I'll go in a line, right? Chronologically. In 1984, when he sang the letter and he won the Junior Calypso Monarch, I remembered somebody coming from New York to Siparia looking for this little boy. And they found him and they said they wanted to take him to Madison Square Gardens. And I said, Machel, do you want to go to? And he said, okay. And we went, and his life changed. After Madison Square Garden, Sparrow, Kitchener, Shadow, they lifted him up as though they presented him to the world. So on the cover of this book was that great moment when they presented Machel Montano as the future king. So that was one of the great moments. Then, well, 1986 was history when he beat all the big Calypsonians in the semi-finals, but I don't know what happened in the finals. Well, he got too young to SOCA from when he sang the letter. They said he was too young to be doing this and the parents irresponsible and all of that. So we took our ideas to Joker and he wrote Too Young to SOCA. Created another controversy. And when we went on stage, for those who saw it, you saw the diaper falling on stage. The mystery still remains. Was it a malfunction? Was it all babies' diapers fall? Or was it Obia, the old Calypsonians? You know? So that was a great moment. In 1987, at the age of 12, he became the first Trinidadian to win the Caribbean Song Festival singing a ballad, Dream Girl, and he dedicated it to me. And we go on and on and on. To date now, he has tied with Kitchener to have the most road marches. He has 11 road marches. Kitchener has 11, so Kitchener can't pass him. So we're looking for the 12th, and then now we will really be number one. Then in 2024, he won his first National Calypso Monarch, which was, the song was final. Machel also got his master's in Carnival Studies from the University of Trinidad and Tobago, and he had to write a song. When Chogdas heard it, who was his professor, and Dr. Otley, they said, boy, don't waste that Calypso, boy. Go in the Monarch. He took up the challenge and he won. Then we have a thing going in Trinidad with memes. They always say, if Machel go in this, Machel win. They say, well, we have UNC and PNM and Monk winning the election. If he go for Chutney SOCA, he would. Machel say, oh, all I want me go for Chutney SOCA. All right. He go for Chutney SOCA, 2025, he's the Chutney SOCA monarch. You know, so all these are things that are very memorable to me because I know that when he puts his head to something, they ain't beating him because he doesn't sleep, he doesn't make joke, he doesn't let anything come between his work. So that are a few of the many.
Thank you. Finally, we just witnessed a young artist doing a piece for us. What advice would you give to other parents or guardians who are supporting their children's dreams and ambition in the entertainment industry?
Go again?
What advice would you give to other parents or guardians who are supporting their children's dreams and ambitions in the entertainment industry?
Well, you have the word there, support. Right? Like I tell parents, especially since I was a guidance counselor, I said that parents must support children in their interests. Not everybody is to be a doctor. Not everybody is to be a lawyer. But if that child has an interest, you are to support it. Because at age 5 is when I discovered Machel. And if I didn't support him, I'd say, boy, your mother is a teacher, your father is a teacher, what are you doing singing calypso? And for years, he was the only child. He would say, Mommy, where are my peers? They didn't want to sing calypso. They were there singing everybody songs, American songs, and he insisted that he wanted to sing his music, and we supported him. So I think the greatest message I could give to parents, support your child in whatever they are interested in doing. Because if you, for example, I know some of us like to say, I want my child to be like me, or I want my child to be better than me. I had an example where I had a student doing A-levels. He wanted to be in communications. His parents wanted him to do science or something like that. And they insisted and they forced him. He went and he did it for A-levels and he wasn't successful. Then he had to go back and do the communications. Wasted 2 years. You know, so always be observant. Always watch your child and know what it is, because some of these simple things turn out to be great opportunities and successes.
Any questions, more questions from the audience?
Don't be afraid.
Giving you the opportunity to. Liz, this journey also took you to jail.
Yes. Took us to jail.
It took you and Machel to jail. You want to clear the air on that for us?
I ain't clearing the air, giving you the truth. This was in 2003. We had gone to, I think it was Toronto, and we had gone to Jamaica, and then we were going to St. Martin. So when I reached after I left Jamaica, I lived in Jamaica, my husband, myself, and my 2 kids. We took our children everywhere we went. So when we went to study in Mona, our children went there. Machel was 2, Marcus was 4. So I knew a lot about Jamaica. Because I lived in the community, I traveled in and out. So we going now from Toronto, from Jamaica, we going to St. Martin. We had 27 pieces of luggage. This is Machel and his band. So when we reach St. Martin now, your luggage come in, and we watching it. And I see police there with the dogs sniffing, and then all of a sudden I see them throw, a reward for the dogs. And hear me, well, boy, somebody get catch today. Right? And we went. Now, there's a Dutch side and a French side. So we went over on the French side to stay. And the next day, Machel had to go to a press conference on the Dutch side, and he went. I got a call. Mrs. Montano, Machel has been arrested. Please, this is during the press conference, please come bring all your tickets and this and thing. So I went down, Farmer Nappy, and they went with me. And one of the most embarrassing moments was when I passed and I saw Machel behind bars. But I knew something went wrong somewhere. So I went up, a whole set of them in the room there, and said, hello, I am from the narcotics division. I said, my narcotics? And then they start, well, Mrs. Montano, we found 2 suitcases of marijuana, each weighing 90 pounds, in Elizabeth Montano and Machel Montano. But I started to laugh because I said, this has to be a joke, because they are insulting my intelligence and my integrity. I lived in Jamaica for years, and I know that when you come into Jamaica, it might have changed now. They scan your bags at the door, outside. And when you reach up, they do the same. Am I that stupid that I would come with a bag 20 pounds heavier? At that time, it was 70 pounds. I committing suicide. So I laugh. The man tell me, Don't laugh, you know, Miss Montano, because in this country we don't have no bail. Well, boy, I get serious one time. And we had sent for now Carl Hudson Phillip to come up to defend us, and my big son was coming. At that time, he used to fly private planes, so you were going to hire and thing. And they end up and they put me in jail, a cell, and they put my son just a little way off. But I know we didn't do nothing. So I told them, I said, bring all the bag tags. And I showed them, I said, first to begin, we don't put any bags on Machel's name. And I don't use my full name. So we're only going with Elizabeth Montano and Machel Montano. I have to be really stupid. And that is what they told us, because they had already given us 8 days more. After they carry us the first time to court, they give us 8 days. And when I brought those things, they freed us, saying what? Not enough evidence. They never said wrongful arrest. So I decided for 13 or 15 years, I did not go back, or I did not take Machel to that country. Then Machel said, oh God, lady, time to forgive them. And I said, okay, we'll forgive them. Because every time they write us, they're saying not sufficient evidence. I said, no, I want wrongful arrest. But they wouldn't say it. I said, no. So this time, one of the leaders decided they're going to do the wrongful arrest. The next week, they catch that government in real corruption. I say, it's all right. We was nothing, so we didn't do it. But eventually, they still have it as not sufficient evidence. I've never gone back. But Machel has forgiven them. So I make a night in jail in 2003 with my son, but part of the life that you live.
Any regrets? Anything you would have done, reflecting, anything you would have done differently?
I never live with regrets because I do everything consciously. So I don't ever, you know, some of us do things on the spur of the moment. You know, we feel like doing it. I don't do that. So when I do something, whatever it is, I will stand the consequences. And I support my children because I've taught my children to tell the truth. Dr. Farmer will always say, lady, you know, they say, talk the truth, because only the truth will save you. So once they tell me something, I know that's the truth. So I don't live, I don't regret, nothing. It is what it is.
She made mention of Farmer. That's Farmer Nappy, who is an international artist, who was part of the family for a number of years and still continues to be. She speaks about her other son, that's Marcus. One time she told me Marcus was the most talented one in the family. And he's a senior pilot with Caribbean Airlines right now. I think he flew to Miami recently.
He flew me to Miami, and I had to be reassuring a passenger. She there using the mala, and she prayed. I said, you're in good hands. Don't worry. You're flying with the best.
We have someone to the back who would like to ask a question.
Sure.
A full-time lover of Calypso. Full-time lover.
Yeah, a word of advice.
Advise me.
Yes.
Thank you.
Just in the event that you have another emergency, to send a package from Venezuela to Trinidad, do not use a fishing boat.
I don't think that I will be sending any package from Venezuela to Trinidad. Not in this time.
Lovely. Obviously, Machel is well loved by many in Trinidad and all throughout the region and beyond. How do you deal with the whole question of security as it relates to kidnapping and whatnot? Are those concerns that you would have as a manager, as a parent, and how do you deal with that on an ongoing basis?
You know, people don't kidnap people just so, at all. I always believe something going on. I don't care what they say, something going on. And I have brought up my children in the same way. We live a very humble life. People love us. Even those who, they say they hate us, they still love us. You understand? So that living good and not being involved in anything sinister, we are not afraid. When Machel walks the street, everybody will stop him. They come in and they talking and we going about our business. He has security, but sometimes he tell them, don't come. He will go by himself and things. So we don't have that kind of fear. And if you know Trinidad crime, if you really follow it, it's well organized. You're not getting you'll have the odd one who might steal or whatever, but if you follow it, they know what they're doing, for sure.
We have another question coming from the audience, Mr. Brian Pitt.
Brian Pitt.
Good evening, Liz.
Good evening.
2 questions. Any plans for some kind of documentary? And question number 2, given the age of artificial intelligence, are you concerned going forward?
Okay, first one, the documentary. We have a documentary that we started in 2015, and it's now 2025. And very soon that documentary is going to be released. It's called Like a Boss, The Journey of a SOCA King. The reason it took so long, and I want to advise people, whoever here might be looking to do something like this, you have to make sure that you clear everything so that all that music that we have in the documentary and everybody who is seen in that documentary, we had to get permission from, and we had to pay money to some to license it. So for example, Rihanna is in there, this guy from Canada, Drake is in there, I think DJ Khaled is there, a whole lot of people, and we had to get permission. For example, like Rihanna said, yes, she will be in it, but don't use her for promotion, but they sign off. And it took us 10 years. Even Machel's music, I had to clear it because there are other writers and there are other producers, so we had to clear it. Then, at the time, we did not own some of our archival stuff. It was there, but we didn't own it. And what I did was, I bought Machel's part of Banyan's archive. So we own all of that. And from everybody else who we have to get license from, we do it. So that took us 10 years. And we hired the right company, and we hired the right people who will pursue that for us. So that's coming soon. And then, well, of course, we had a feature film that celebrated 10 years this year, Basili.
The question was also part of AI?
Or the part with AI. Now, I am a very progressive person. I believe in evolution. I believe if I didn't, remember we had Calypso, Machel started with Calypso. Yes, people will ask us, why SOCA? Calypso is a real thing. But the music has to evolve. And to stay current and to stay relevant, you have to move with the times. Now, AI is there. I hardly use AI because I have the knowledge that I want in my head and being a teacher, but I am not in opposition because, again, if I don't go with the times, I will be left behind. They're not going to say we're not using AI. So you have to be able to choose. Like I tell people, I don't want my son to be your child's role model. You must be able, or your child must be able to choose the part of Machel that they want to follow and the part that they don't want to follow. Same thing for AI.
I'm going to call on 2 sons of the art form, students of the art form, who I know will have a question or a comment to make. First, I'll call on Ali. I saw Ali around. Ali Gill? Come forward. Finley Jeffrey will be next. Ali, come forward with a question.
Pleasant good evening.
Pleasant good evening, sir.
For Machel to be that good, he had to have Grenadian roots. So I would like for you, first of all, to explore that part for us and share with us Machel's roots here in Grenada.
Okay.
And secondly, I just want to make a comment and to thank you and thank Machel. So in Grenada, I'm from Grand Roy. Grand Roy in Patois means Great King. We have produced the mighty Sparrow,
Yes.
the king of Calypso. So I'm hearing now that Ladig has produced the king of Soca.
Indirectly.
Indirectly. But we are eternally grateful for Machel's contribution to Caribbean civilization and soca music in particular. To many of us here, we need to appreciate that Calypso influenced reggae music.
Yes.
In other words, Bob Marley used to listen to Mighty Sparrow, and he referenced Sparrow in some of his interviews. Machel Montano, in many respects, Ross Chartier may have been the inventor, but Machel Montano, in many respects, may have been the biggest promoter, global promoter of soca music globally. And we are grateful for you and for his contribution to our civilization. But my only question would be, I'm intrigued to learn of his Grenadian roots. Thank you so much.
Good. First to begin, I am by heritage a Noel, right? My grandmother was Jane Noel. My uncle was Harold Noel, and he's from Ladig, St. Andrews. And as a young child, I grew up going there, and Machel and Marcus, as young children, we took them there. So Harold Noel. Now in the audience, where are the Noels? Put up all your hand. So that's part of my family in Grenada, the Noels. And we have spent years, I am still in contact with them. We also want to follow. We have a Cecil Noel, and we have all the different Noels here that I don't know everybody, you know, but I keep in touch with one main one, and she tells me what's going on. So that's the Noel family. My grandmother and my grandfather were Noels, and they came to Trinidad in Erin, and then they had my mother, and then Elizabeth come, then Machel come, Anne Marie, and Marcus. So that's our roots. Noels from Ladig, St. Andrews. Yes. And quite a few of them have passed because there were a lot of older ones that I grew up with, you know. So that's the Noel family. If you are Noel, welcome to the fan club, or welcome to the family. All right, and the next one was, what was the next one?
That's it. That was
No, he made a comment. Thank you for the contribution. I think that from the beginning, Machel had said in 1985 when he was asked in WBLS what he wanted to do, he said that he wanted to take soca music and Caribbean music worldwide to the corners of the globe. And he talked about unity and love and peace. And if you listen to his music, no matter what it is always about unity and peace and collaborating and cooperation. And he has worked with people throughout the Caribbean and international artists. He introduced many international artists to soca music by bringing them to his show and by doing a song with them. But he believed in that oneness and that Caribbeanness. So he's my gift to the Caribbean people.
We'd like to invite the reigning Calypso monarch, 9 times champion.
9 times?
9 or 10? 10 times. Subject to correction. 10 times. Mr.
I see you dress the part.
Mr. Finley
The
Jeffrey,
pin sharp.
the scholar.
It's same amount of times as Machel win road match. 11.
11 road matches? Very good, congratulations.
So me and Machel have something in common. The number 11. You know, incidentally, today I was walking in Ladiga, yeah? And one of the officers I was working with, a young lady in her 20s, I told her that I had to come back to this event. And she told me that Machel's grandparents are from right there. She pointed the house.
The corner.
Right, and she told me about some Noels. No, I don't know where she got it from. I just stooped to them. I just didn't know what she's saying.
I wonder if it's Kenisha tell you that.
No, it's not Kenisha. She's never not Kenisha. So now I have to go back and apologize to her because she was spot on. She was spot on.
Tell her Miss Montano pull you up for that.
Well, there you go. So I want to, first of all, congratulate you on this book that I cannot wait to read. Listening to you as you speak of Machel's experience, you know, it has me excited. And I want to congratulate you especially because we are from a region where we do not chronicle a lot. This is one of the hardest things. You know, my wife has always said to me, it's time for you to start to write your book. And every time she said that, my head started to hurt me. I could write songs, but when I think about writing book, then it's a headache for me. And so I want to congratulate you especially. There's a certain prime minister who told me about 10 years ago that he writing memoirs, and up to now he telling me the same thing. Memoirs can't write yet. So congratulations on this book. Something else that struck me, right, was the response that you gave to the question about balancing between motherhood and manager. And funny enough, sometime last year, I was in the company of a young man. He told me a story. He's a fine musician. He was. I have to speak of him in the past. I'll tell you why in a bit. But it was my wife. Me and my wife was there. So she can attest to what I'm saying. Ali might feel a line. But he told me a story. He said that he played with Machel's band for a short while. It was a young man by the name of Otniel Sinclair.
What name?
Otniel Sinclair.
Harkness?
Otniel.
Otniel.
Otniel?
Otniel Sinclair.
I know that name.
Well, there you go. He told me that briefly he played with Machel's band. Maybe. And he was telling my wife, if you hear Machel and his mother, if you just hear when they're speaking about the shows and things, if you hear how they just come, sometimes Machel pulling up. And look, I'm hearing you saying this. And I doubted him as well, right?
But I gotta go back and apologize.
I can't apologize because he died recently.
Oh, sorry.
Young man, he was a pan arranger with Rainbow City All Stars. He was buried maybe about 2 weeks ago. Oh. But he recounted this story that I remember as you were speaking. With all that said, as the ultimate insider, I know that you were privy to so many things. Listening you speak tonight of all of these things, but you wrote one book. One book. How did you decide what to leave out and what to include?
Well, that was a difficult decision because there's so much that was left out because I just couldn't, because right now I wrote 40 years and this year is going to be 43 years. And this was since in 2018, so all this part is missing. And people tell me to write a sequel, or that is for Machel to write. And he already has the name of his book. I have another book that I want to write. I already have the name, and it's called The Greener Grass. Because a lot of us always feel that what we have is not enough, and there's always a greener grass. And I have many examples of people who left us for the greener grass, and it didn't happen. And even sometimes we ourselves went and did things for the greener grass, and it never happened. But we were always prepared, we were always resilient, and always came back stronger. But not everybody have that, support and that level of tenacity. Good.
Just to follow up on those, one Grenadian I knew for certain that played with Machel as part of Ecstatic. That is Sean Small Roots from out of McCann area.
Sean who?
Sean Small Roots. He played the bass for Machel for a number of years.
Roots. He was our bass man.
He was a bass player for a number of years, and he's from out of St. David's.
You say you had to leave.
Good night. I am going to be a little bold. We've never met, but I think Lady Liz seems to be the moniker that fits tonight. So if you don't mind, I'm addressing you as Lady Liz.
Yes.
And Lady Liz, let me tell you something. Your son has featured so prominently so far in the soundtrack of my life. Some of the best UEFETs that I can remember were not UEFETs unless you had some Machel Montano song. And I treasure those memories. My UE experience was a fabulous experience.
Now they can't afford to pay for it.
You're telling me? But I'll share another memory that I've never forgotten this as a young person living in New York at the time. And a little fella came on a show called Star Search. Ed McMahon was the host at the time. It was a very white American show. And here comes this little boy, and he busts down the place with Too Young to Soca. And I can't share the joy I felt as a Caribbean person sitting in New York watching Machel Montano sing Too Young to Soca on the then premiere. This was before Voice and before, what's the one with Lionel Richie and them now? This was the talent show of the talent shows back then. And I still remember the pride that I felt as a Caribbean person seeing this young man and watching him now reach what you could argue is the pinnacle. But you have confirmed that this is not his pinnacle. There's more to come. And my question for you is, because I saw him being interviewed recently, and this I didn't know, that he had actually bypassed an opportunity. I don't remember the recording label, had an opportunity of a contract with a recording label that probably might have turned him into the next Rihanna, because their trajectory probably would have been the pop realm that she reigns in. And he gave that up to concentrate on the excellence that we've become accustomed to in our music. And, all the collaborations, we've seen that. In the next chapter, could we perhaps, because you've said he rises to a challenge every time. I was shocked when I saw him enter Chutney and come away as a Chutney king. So it almost makes the meme something more than a meme. Is there that possibility? Because, you talk about the grass being greener. We still think that he hasn't made it because Soca is not at the Grammys. But I've heard the argument that perhaps that is not supposed to be our measure of greatness. Everything else that he's done has been so excellent. Perhaps we should no longer be pigeonholing ourselves into thinking that that is what you need to accomplish to mark excellence in the Caribbean. So where else could we see Machel Montano? He's done the African collab, he's done the rap collab, he's done, where else could we look forward to seeing him? Because his star is still on the ascendancy, to listen to you.
Okay. Let me take up that last one with the Grammys. I think a lot of people don't know what it takes to win a Grammy. First, to begin, you have to be a member of the Recording Academy. You must be a member of the Recording Academy to qualify, and you must be a member of the Recording Academy to vote, right? And that is where we fall short. Because as I was saying, everybody's about themselves. And we don't have the numbers. Because Jamaica is there, Jamaica not going and vote for SOCA, Barbados voting for themselves, Grenada, this, and we don't have the numbers. And we don't even have a SOCA category because we don't have people to lobby for it. I had Machel enrolled as a member of the Recording Academy many years. And you will see this year quite a number of people have joined, but Machel has always made it to the first round. But then when you come up with the Africans or the Indians, or you come up with the Jamaicans, our numbers will never surpass theirs because we don't have it, everybody going up for themselves. Now we have a few people who belong to the Recording Academy, and they have started, and I see everybody, you know, going after it, but we don't have our own category at all, right? So that's that. So we have again to come together and form that oneness if we want to make the numbers and if we want to win a Grammy. Then the one with, I didn't talk about that opportunity. Machel was the first person to take SOCA to national television like that. He was 11. And he was singing 2 songs. The Two of Us, you all know that song, The Two of Us, by, it's a Trinidadian, but it was a ballad, The Two of Us, right? And he did the audition with the 2 songs, and they said, okay, thing. And then he decided, he said, I want to sing my SOCA. And he went, but it was a challenge. He didn't win the challenge, but he made his presence felt. You know, and that always stayed another first. And that's the story. We could.
The acting Prime Minister, the Honorable Lennox Andrews, has a question.
Oh gosh, good.
President, good evening. And thank you very much. I wanted to ask you 2 questions.
Okay.
Some years ago, there was an article published by a Swedish sociologist named Johan Galtung. And he was making the point that great men are the product of their mothers and not their fathers. And in an interview he conducted on a number of outstanding men, asking who had the greatest influence on your life, and they would all say the mother and not the father. So my question is, does this apply to you and your son?
Well, I always had this story, you know. Well, not only from a man's point of view, but from my own life. I did not live one day with my father. I lived with my mother, and I lived with my Grenadian grandmother and my sister. And I think I did all right for myself, right? So I never had a father there. Now, in my case, my husband is there, but he behind me. I will say what we're doing, you know, and I remember in the early years, I would run away with Machel and I will bring him and my husband will say, but we small, we think. And I say, no, so I was always the driving force. And he always came to me, but I always had, luckily for me, I had the support there. But I believe that if you have a great mother, your business fixed.
Yeah.
You can have a good father, you know, but he can't be a good mother. But a good mother could be a good mother and a father, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and it is true.
I too do accept that mothers have the greatest influence over the sons than fathers. I also accept that as well. My second question, though, is how were you able to control the fame and the glory?
How were I able to control?
the fame, and the glory, as Machel starts, doing well, how were you able to control that he didn't go away, he didn't go astray,
Again.
How you remain humble?
Again, my husband and I were very humble. We both came from humble beginnings. I came from a fishing village in Caranage, raised by my mother and grandmother. My husband came from the country, raised by his aunt and his uncle, and we became educators, but we were always very humble. And we came at a time, we became adults at a time when there was black power. So then we had these values that we believe in. Education is important. Sharing is important. Being proud of being who you are and what you are, right? So that our children, again, we taught them those values, but we lived by setting the example. So that they saw we had a great work ethic, they saw that we were honest, and that we were humble. People couldn't believe that I was Machel, mother of Montano. Well, worse from my husband. My husband is something else, a real soulfish, but yeah, and we well educated and everything, but we down to earth. So that we never felt that we were better than anybody, or we never let Machel feel that way. We treated Machel just like we treated our bigger son, who was not in the limelight, but he wanted from small to become a pilot. And he flew for the Coast Guard, and then he went to BWI and then Caribbean Airlines. So that, and still, if you fly with him, people tell me, oh God, this is a real good boy, real nice. Again, humble and ordinary. So that it was never a problem of trying to deal with the fame. Yes, we had the fame. Sometimes, Machel vex, you walking through the airport, 1,000 people want pictures and want that, and he just wish he could be normal because we grew him up. And I tell him, boy, you're past that stage. So that has never been a problem. And I give thanks for that.
Before we take the next question, we must say thank you again to the persons who made this experience possible. To Silver Sands, also to Ricardo, also to Pier 57, the University of the West Indies, and of course the Department of Culture. Again, thank you so very much for putting all the resources together and to make it possible. We have a question from Mr. Eugene Gittins.
Testing here. Good evening. Thank you for the insights. I must say kudos to you, because an artist is only as good as their manager. The manager makes the artist, and so big kudos to you. But I was sitting there and I Googled net worth of Machel Montano.
They lying, eh?
28 million and counting. And then another Google tells me it's private, so it probably is more or less, but that's okay. You don't have to share that. The thing, something else I want to mention about Ladigue, I don't know if you know, you probably know, that Ladigue is quite interesting because two great people came from there. Machel Montano indirectly, and of course Malcolm X's mom was from Ladigue. So that is also very interesting.
Also Elwin O'Quilk in the Black Wizard.
Oh, well, of course.
Who's that?
Of course.
Black Wizard.
Oh, yeah.
But the question I have for you, though, is was there any point, especially in the early days, when you maybe thought that Machel and yourself and your husband, you made the wrong decision?
Wrong decision?
Yeah, well, I mean, during those hard times or something happened, things weren't looking quite bright. Was there that time when you say, I don't know if this could work?
No. We always take things as they come. I remember the lady there was talking about when Machel got, I think, a deal. That was Atlantic Records. And that was in the year of 2000. And it was the same year that, I don't know, some of you might remember, Real Unity, the concert. And the stage fell and people got damaged and people were suing us and things. That's the same time that Machel went to England. And fortunately or unfortunately, certain things happened. They wanted to change Machel from what he was to be like, they had a Craig David, and then they wanted him to be this Jamaican, not Shaggy, Sean Paul, right? But Machel was there too with some international stars. And what they did there is they give you a song to sing at the time. Angela Hunt was Machel's writer. And you go in there and you sing. And they were there mixing American beats and all of that. But Machel was an engineer, producer, and a writer. And he didn't want to do that. He wanted to be Machel Montano. And they didn't know what to do with soca music. So he wanted to come back home. Fortunately, or unfortunately, the same time, that company merged with AOL. And you know the saying, last to come, first to go. So Machel was the last. Another thing is, from that Real Unity concert, we were going bankrupt because nobody wanted to hire the band because Machel wasn't there. Plus, I was going to court where people were suing us for millions of dollars. And he decided he's coming back home. And he came back home right after. So everything, it looked like if they were sending him home, but he had already decided he was coming. Because they're paying you, they signed a 6-album deal, right? So everything looked nice and big. And every now and again, they will give us 15,000 US. We would make that in one show. So it didn't really make sense neither. So all the people you see, they come in, they get deal and they get this.
I know.
All that glitters is not gold.
It's true, so true. Thank you so much.
Good. Like I'm going to come back, eh? So I tell him, no, you go ahead. The acting prime minister, I would like to come and maybe do workshops. Tomorrow I'm going to visit a school, and I want to continue this thing in the Caribbean because, as I say, I want to share that knowledge and experience. So
tomorrow morning, she shares some moments with the students of the St. Joseph's Convent, St. George.
So I have a comment and then I have another question. As a Trinidadian living in Trinidad, those years that Machel does not participate in Carnival, you remember the Machel years, but you also remember the years that we didn't have Machel. 2001, I remember. 2024,
yes,
I remember.
Atlantic.
Yes, and so he really, Carnival is great every year, but Machel Carnival is always special. 2025 was a special one. My question is, well, it's one of the most delightful things I read this year was Beyonce's mother's memoir called Matriarch, where she talks about her experiences parenting that level of talent. And I was really surprised by how much I enjoyed it, hearing her stories and not only as Beyonce's mother, but hearing about her projects as well. So my question is, I know you have another book lined up, but I'm coming to put another one on the to-do list. Have you ever, because this is the biography of Machel, the first 40 years, but have you ever considered your own memoir, talking about your experiences and some of these insights that you've given us about parenting that level of talent?
I don't think you want to hear about my memoirs. I do. Oh God, my memoirs will be very colorful.
That's exactly what we want to hear.
Because I was always very good for myself, you know. But I think that I don't need to write a memoir about me or memoirs, but I still have a lot to say. As I said, I was going to write at Greener Grass. You know, inside of Machel's book, you will learn if you follow Machel's story, that's my story. Like people ask, girl, you don't have a life? I say, but that's my life. I have 2 sons, and I follow them. I do everything with them. So my memoirs are there in living time, you know, in real time. So I don't think that I will concentrate on me, not at this stage of my life, 75. I want to leave a legacy that people could really, you know, take pattern, especially in the culture of the Caribbean.
Thank you.
But if I live beyond 100, I might do it. So pray for me.
She mentioned it's her intention to go to 106. So she always speak about the next 25 years. She would like to go to 106.
All right, good evening, Lady Montano.
Good evening.
I had the pleasure of meeting you a couple years ago when Mr. Ricardo Kings Douglas hosted the launch event for Digicel. Machel performed. I was the person who introduced Machel then.
Okay.
And from then, you know, I've been following Machel for many years, of course. I lived in Toronto, so obviously with Caribbean and all that, that was my thing. But what I am more interested to find out, is there any space, like a museum, an archival space, that could be situated in the Caribbean itself? Since we are drawing the world to our carnivals year after year after year, and beyond the fete, after the fete, I get the sense people don't know our story or our history or anything about us, the people who are making the world, you know, have the best parties ever. You go to Australia, they say they want to have a Caribbean carnival in Sydney. And more I travel throughout the world, you know, we're getting the stuff out there, but at home, I'm not feeling as though we are doing something to really tie the story together, to archive the information. So what you have done today really put a little bit of a hope that we are doing this. And I hope that we could start a movement whereby, like how in Jamaica, when you can go to the Bob Marley Museum and the Peter Tosh Museum and you feel, yes, you had a full 360 experience. You know, our kids don't read as much as we do. So we got to find materials to keep on telling the stories. So what is your vision for bringing this home to the Caribbean and creating a Caribbean space in the region to create that kind of a central archive? Do you have any thoughts towards that?
Well, I already have one. As I said, I have a 43-year archive, and it is digital. And at present, well, I had everything cataloged, books and books of everything cataloged, and I have the physical things in our museum, but it's not for the public, but the public is invited digitally. So it was registered by UNESCO, I think it was November or January, at our office, and we have stuff set up that the public could come and research. What I am doing is I'm going to another level where we had it cataloged according to years, but now to make it easier, because we are inviting the public to come in, I am doing it in categories, so that if you pull up the year, or you pull up a song, or you pull up something, it's going to come right up. So this is where we are at present. So I have two people doing that for us. But everything is there, set up, and as I say, we have the digital part in our office, and then we have the part where we have all the physical things, everything wrapped in acid-free paper and cataloged. But the next step is we are looking for a physical space where we could put all this, because we have stuff. Remember, we were in business longer than Bob Marley. Right? Bob Marley did not make 43 years, and we have 43 years of collected, cataloged, and everything available digitally and physically. So very soon as they are finished, the public could come and get an appointment, and you can research. So it's there. I think.
Any more questions? Am I seeing someone indicating?
No, let's go with.
Okay, good. I would like to thank you so very much for participating for the interactive session. And I think now it's just about the right time
performance
to enjoy some bits and pieces from the man himself, the king of soca.
How much longer do you plan to stay in the Calypso? Or do you have any plans of diverging to another field?
Well, I plan to take it as far as it will carry me. But I do all sorts of music: reggae, calypso, ballad, rhythm and blues.
So what you're saying that you will not always be a calypso?
No, I'll be an entertainer.
I see.
education minister, because it have certain things going on, and I wonder if he is aware. Everybody running their mouth and talking school children bad, and the things they saying, I mean as man, I just get real mad. I admit that it have a few, but some teachers doing wrongs too. So is this a case of do as I say, but don't dare to do as I do? I say I change my style for just a little while, and they laughed in utter amusement. I say I come in on hot to show people what I got, and they start with critical comments. They say I'm a little boy, I'm too young to sing. I thought we were spreading joy, that's the party and thing. They say I should concentrate on winning the junior crown, because I've got to wait a few more years to make it. They say I'm too young to sit back. Oi, 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 they make it joke. They say I'm playing with fire. Oi, 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 they make it joke.
Before I start, I'd like to dedicate this song to the most beautiful girl in the world, to me, my mother. She's my dream girl, the most beautiful girl in the world. And I'm awakened by the warmth and feelings of love, 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 love.
I want to be in your arms again. Take me back, Africa. I want to share your sorrow and pain. Take me back, Africa. I want to rediscover my culture on the banks of the river Niger. I want to walk on the Sahara. Take me back, Africa.
The stage is in front of us. Put it together, one in the air. Put your hand in the air. Hand in the air. Put your hand in the air. Everybody now, somebody, somebody, somebody. Everybody somebody. Everybody somebody. Spread away.
To a mother named Calypso, Junior appeared to be so much more. Over the years he began to grow, but like his grandfather Pakalinda and grandmammy Sweet Cariso, the family trace of little boy Soca could I never hide with just so.
Just a few pieces. And I often tell persons that this genre of music is only one that you have to be so constantly always in the studio. As we speak right now, Machel is in the studio. Whereas you see the other international acts, let's say, for example, call a name, let's say Lionel Richie would put out an album. And he'll work the album for about 4 or 5 years before putting out another. Party was the biggest song around all carnivals for 2025. And come Boxing Day in Trinidad, when the SOCA season opens, ain't no party, they're looking for new music. So to be relevant, he has to be back in his studio probably every 6 to 8 months to keep producing. It's the only genre that you're under that stress, that continued stress to produce, to maintain, to be relevant at all points in time. And he has been doing it for 40 plus years. I think it's worth a round of applause. Members of the inner circle calls her lady. You know, as lady, we refer to Machel as boy. And I think it was a significant journey. It's one that I think that you should really get into. From the very first moment, coming into this world stillborn and understanding all the challenges and all the steps all along the way. It's just such a unique, fantastic story. At this time, I'd like to invite Liz to make some presentations to some persons who would have made this experience possible. So Liz, I would like you to, we have some...
I can sit down, eh?
Yes, you'd have to come forward. We'd first like to make a presentation to the Honorable Lennox Andrews, Acting Prime Minister. Will you please just come forward?
Oh, where's my foot? Sir, I want to present this to you from both Machel and myself. You will hang around Machel to sign it, but I have to sign it, right? Okay.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you so very much. As we indicated this morning, a courtesy call was paid to the Minister of Culture, Senator Adrian Persuader Thomas, and he was presented with his copy. So he got the first copy on that line. Again, thank you very much, sir. We'd like to call on Dr. Nicole, let me make sure I get the name right, Nicole Phillip. Will you please come forward to receive on behalf of the University of the West Indies, who was so instrumental in this process. Dr. Phillip, thank you so very much.
I hope you enjoyed this one. Most welcome, and you can hold on.
I'd also like to call now on Mr. Jacobs, Chief Cultural Officer, to please come forward to receive a copy of the King of Soca.
Mr. Jacobs, thank you for everything. Holy book. Yes.
We'd also like to invite Mr. Mark Scott, on behalf of Silver Sands, to please come forward. She has been speaking to Mark and sending emails to Mark, and they meet for the very first time. Thank you so very much, sir, for enjoy your reading. Yeah. We also like to make a presentation to Moti, Mr. Niles, talented youngster. Last but not least, we'd like to invite, he's not on island, he flew out today, and we'd like to invite one of his staff members of staff, senior staff, from Pier 57, on behalf of Mr. Patrick David, for his contribution. Would you please come forward to receive on his behalf? Liz, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, there are books on sale. There are books on sale, those of you who are interested in getting a copy, and Liz will be available to put a note and sign. Price is $50 US. I think 50 US. But in EC, $135 for the book. There's books available, and it will be autographed by Liz. I first would like to say thank you to the persons, we keep mentioning them, who made this possible. Ricardo, Silver Sands, Mark Scott, the Ministry of Culture, the Department of Culture, the Minister, the Chief Cultural Officer. We also like to say thank you to Mr. Patrick David for assisting. Also like to say thank you to the University of the West Indies for coming forward to making this experience what it was. I think it's a great opportunity for you to get a copy. The full-time lovers of the art form, the students of the art form. As we see, this is an intimate insider's view of the biggest soca act in the world today, and probably the biggest soca act ever. And what is so very much most interesting, that we do believe there's so much more to come from this individual. So again, I thank you very much on behalf of all the organizers, on behalf of the author, Liz. I thank you so very much for sharing this evening here with us. If you want to purchase a book, please do so. It will be signed, and safe passage home. There are refreshments. I would like you to indulge, and let's have a conversation as we continue. Okay, so again, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you on behalf of Lady, on behalf of the entire team. We have been going with this backward and forward for the past couple of weeks. Thank you so very much for all the persons, Liz, your team in Trinidad, to Keisha, who I met for the very first time, communicating with her backward and forward for weeks now, trying to get it done. I want to thank everybody for making this launch the success that it was. And let us continue to enjoy the King of Soca. Good evening, and thank you so very much. The bar is open.